Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, I propose North Bay be renamed to Phoenix North. Mondays are bad enough, and we have an injury update of our Greg Estes. Welcome inside the Your TV studio for this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. Truly local, my name is Clark Heifel. First tonight, the Scandinavian country of Sweden has attempted the herd immunity approach when tackling the coronavirus pandemic. The latest reports from Europe suggest the more relaxed restrictions has not translated to lowering the caseload of COVID-19. Is this, or perhaps now, has this approach been considered in Canada? We discussed this controversial approach with Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Jim Chirico. Can you just give us your opinion on herd immunity and whether or not that's a valuable tool to fight COVID?
Well, the problem is, with regards to herd immunity, is that we don't know for sure whether or not we actually do get immunity because the tests haven't been done. So we don't know if people, we don't know how many people have actually gotten ill. And in order to determine herd immunity, you have to do specialized testing to see if you have antibodies. And then after that, they have to do even further testing to see if those antibodies will actually give you immunity. So there's way too many unanswered questions right now with regards to herd immunity. And it goes back to what I said before, that it's the most important thing to remember is that you have to practice the 2-meter physical distancing and do all of those personal hygiene measures to protect yourself. You still have to assume that everybody you come into contact with has COVID-19. We've done very well to flatten the curve, but it's not over yet. There's still, it's far from over. So the first wave is in decline, but it's still present, but we're doing well. And it's extremely likely there will be a second wave. How widespread and how severe it will be, no one really knows for sure. So it is important to make all of the recommended public health measures a normal part of your life. And, they will be with us for a while, and they're the best way to stay healthy.
As of 1 p.m. today, just over 6,100 tests have been administered in the North Bay Parry Sound District.
Testing certainly is important, but I think it's even more important to remember that 2-meter physical distancing and the other public health measures are really the best way for individuals to protect against COVID-19 and really stay healthy. So it's still important to do the 2 meters. Stay at home as much as possible. Wear a face covering, when physical distancing is hard or not possible. And it's important to the simple things, washing or sanitizing your hands often, coughing and sneezing into your sleeve, avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, and really cleaning high-touch objects and surfaces off.
And as you see on your screen, the numbers released today at 1 p.m. on this Tuesday by the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. Testing is always in focus over the past several weeks, and it remains in focus. Just 172 new tests as we have crossed that 6,000 threshold. Thankfully, no more new cases. We're still at 26. Overall, 20 resolved of those 26, and yes, 1 death due to coronavirus in our district. 1 person remains in hospital. 4 individuals in the North Bay Parry Sound District are currently in self-isolation. You likely have noticed an extreme heat warning is in effect as North Bay, Ontario is feeling more like Phoenix, Arizona. As you can see on your screen, upon arriving at North Bay's waterfront, we captured promising images as folks seem to be respecting the social distancing rules, as well as restrictions that are in place to stop the spread of COVID-19. Citizens are permitted to walk through parks and through beaches. However, it is against the rules to congregate in those spaces. Yours truly was in error when previously stating beaches were open for sun tanning. I regret that error. At the time, I unknowingly provided false information, so just to recap, beaches and parks closed for congregation. However, you can pass through them. And you know how I'm referring to North Bay as Phoenix North. A high of 29 today in North Bay, and tomorrow in Phoenix, Arizona, the high for both days, 39 and 42 degrees Celsius, respectively. Ours is a heat warning. Theirs, an excessive heat warning. Steady as she goes can be a term to describe the North Bay approach to the fight against the coronavirus. In comparison to other smaller urban centers, perhaps smaller urban centers down south, North Bay sits quite well with only 26 confirmed cases in the district. North Bay Mayor Al McDonald joined us over the phone to discuss the public's responsibility in the fight against COVID-19. Mayor Al McDonald on the citizens' response to the consistent messaging of social distancing, as well whether or not citizens are abiding by the restrictions that are in place.
I think our citizens have been doing a tremendous job. They're doing what they can. Our numbers are low. We just need to keep reinforcing, the protocols and making sure that everybody's safe, and that's our number one priority. We continue to communicate that when it comes to the protocols. So, it's going to take 52,000 citizens to be able to get us through this.
Coming off that nice weekend, it was also nice down south, and seeing those photos from Trinity Bellwoods Park is just, it can be certainly angering. And when you think that people are limiting funeral services to 9 people, and then you see people gather in the hundreds, if not thousands, that's just awful, for lack of a better word. What's your reaction upon seeing those photos?
I was shocked, just like everyone else. There's a group. It's not just Toronto. There's other cities, and you just have to look into the States, and you see the visuals as well. We took the stance to make sure our beaches were closed, but we also closed Memorial Drive to give everybody a lot more room. But it's concerning that that if the spread continues to go up because of those examples, then the rest of us suffer. The rest of us have to continue along the same process that we are now. So I am hopeful that people really take this seriously and do what they can to stop the spread.
Shifting focus now, Mondays are bad enough. The last thing you need is an industrial valve laying on your broken windshield. That's exactly what one North Bay motorist woke up to on this past Monday. The North Bay Police is indeed seeking the public's assistance in locating a culprit or culprits after a vehicle parked in an Oak Street parking lot was damaged heavily with this industrial shut-off valve. No word on where this valve was taken from, if it was indeed stolen as well. Police provided photo evidence, as you see on your screen, and the owner of this vehicle shocked to find an industrial valve on the windshield with the windshield completely destroyed. Police say the act of vandalism occurred sometime between an 8-hour span between midnight and 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning, and this vehicle parked at an Oak Street parking lot that was gravel across from the Fisher Oak intersection. If you have any information concerning this incident, you are asked to contact North Bay Police or Crime Stoppers if you wish to remain anonymous. The number for Crime Stoppers is 1-800-222-TIPS. In 2020, school was out for the entire spring and summer. Ontario students have been able to work online at home, but some have questioned just how hard have they been working with marks more or less since getting out at March. One Chippewa student we spoke to says he has been working hard and can improve those marks with a big effort.
This is the walk that Alistair McPherson usually makes to Chippewa, but of course he hasn't made that walk in about 3 months. And he may be waiting until September to make that walk as he finishes up grade 11 this year and plans on starting grade 12 at Chippewa in September.
Well, I mean, at first it was kind of nice, a bit of an extension of March break and everything. But the more it's gone on, I think the more detrimental it's been, I guess. It's the online courses. Teachers are doing the best they can, of course, and I think my teachers have been doing a great job given the circumstances. But it's not the same as in classroom learning, and I'm not getting the same benefits that I would in a classroom. So I think kind of the thrill of an extended March break is gone by now, and it's more just I'm missing being in a classroom and having that teacher engagement.
No teacher engagement, no fellow student engagement. An odd time indeed.
I think it is definitely to an extent, and it's not. It's not the same as the big thing, right? And it's definitely very different texting with a person, or even just like FaceTime with a person, than it is actually talking to them in person.
There's definitely an issue about students maybe taking some time off from classes because they don't really matter until September. That's not the case in McPherson's mind.
I've been trying to keep up with things because I know the marks can still go up and everything, and I don't want my marks to drop. And I think a lot of my classmates have been doing the same. Again, I can't speak for everybody, but I've definitely been trying to keep doing the schoolwork as much as I can because I know this is also information I'm going to need for grade 12 and for university. So I really want to make sure I'm getting the most of the learning that I can get right now.
So McPherson is trying to utilize the online experience. Does he get a chance to get feedback from his teachers in real time?
Sometimes. I know, in particular, for my classes at least, my English and chemistry classes, teachers have been regularly having sessions where we can ask questions, or I know my English teacher, Miss Gregora, she's been doing lots of live classes as much as she can for certain things. So Microsoft Teams has been a way to talk to teachers and everything, but I guess not quite as much as we did in school.
And no word why that Jeep was parked right in front of the doors. We'll just have to ask Greg about that tomorrow. We have reached break time here on this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. We introduced you to a new acronym. You've likely heard of BYOB. What about BYOBG? That and more right after this. We welcome you back inside the Your TV studio on this Tuesday for more Cogeco News. We have all heard of BYOB, and this is a all-family show, so bring your own adult beverages. But what about BYOBG? That stands for Bring Your Own Bag and Gloves. It's the newest approach from the Clean Green Beautiful Committee, which are dead set on beautifying North Bay.
Bring your own bag and gloves, and that's our latest neighborhood challenge for next week and part of this week. When you go for a walk on our beautiful trails, and there's so many in the city, just bring a small grocery bag with you and pick up where you see a littered area, take it home, and recycle the recyclables and put the rest in the garbage. Every little bit helps.
When you look at an entire city, it can be a bit overwhelming to think, I got to clean up tens of thousands of pieces of garbage. However, if every one person does their part, it could be done in a matter of days, not weeks.
Then that's what in our mission statement is, that we want everyone in our community to be part of the solution to make us litter free, and that's just being a good steward and being a good neighbor, helping our community, our home be as beautiful and pristine as it possibly could be.
Here at Good to Go on Foran and McIntyre, businesses are taking the pledge to ensure their storefronts are clean, and that can spread to residential areas as well.
Absolutely. Well, usually in residential areas, people are taking care of their properties, and but we want businesses to get on board, like Good to Go, and inspire new behavior, and think about how you can make your space even more beautiful. It's so much more inviting for your clients to come into. So that's where we're going with that.
Ben Farella is the owner of North Bay's Good to Go. So you have come on board to clean, green, beautiful. Why?
Well, first of all, when Harriet Madigan asks you to do something, you do it. Okay, first of all. And second of all, because it just makes sense. I mean, I think obviously making our community cleaner and greener and more beautiful just adds to the overall value of where we live. And I think going through this crisis, I think it's given us a different perspective on the little things in life. And although this isn't little, it takes just a little bit of effort. You know, I was reminded of the compound effect, or 10x or 1000x, but if all of us just do a little bit and improve our business, and you know, we've got some beautiful flowers that Harriet's helping with today, and got the clean green recyclable bags that I'm going to have staff go around. If we all just take care of that, it's just going to create a much better environment. So that's why I think it makes great sense.
Clean, Green, Beautiful has dozens upon dozens of team members. Tiffany and Emily Womack co-captained the team Litterbusters, which I am fortunate to be a part of. Team Litterbusters wants to share common sense when it comes to dog owners and their dogs', well, waste. Terminator Madigan shares that important message.
Oh boy. If you're out in the forest, I mean, the wildlife in the forest, you know, does their business in the forest. But it's really disconcerting to find bags of poop hanging from trees on the sides of trails. It just doesn't make sense why you would even bend down and pick it up and then throw it somewhere. Please be conscientious and do your best to contribute to a tidy, clean, green community.
Well, we have reached second break time on this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. Now, if you've talked to Greg Estabrooks while he's been out doing stories, you may have noticed he may have a little bit of a limp, acting a little bit sore. And we have heard of tennis elbow, but what about tennis knee? We have an injury update on our tennis superstar who lost to me, Greg Estabrooks, right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Plenty of sun, plenty of water, plenty of sand, empty beach. Yes, welcome to 2020, the new normal on the hottest day of the year so far. Heat warning in effect. Hello, everybody. Greg Estabrooks here down at the waterfront. It is a hot one on Tuesday. They called for extreme temperatures, and the forecast was correct. It is going to be very hot for the next day or two. Temperatures will moderate a lot on the weekend, actually, but boy, oh boy, it is a hot one today. If you venture out, wear some sunscreen, wear a hat. I'm not, but still, be safe out there for more reasons than one. Annual Cystic Fibrosis Walk is one of those events going virtual this weekend, Sunday, May 31st. Because of COVID-19, organizers have decided to take their walk the virtual way. Of course, things are going to be very, very different. The walk officials have said it's going to go online. Proceedings will begin via Zoom, 10:45 a.m. on Sunday morning. Now let's get to the forecast and tell you what's going to come up the rest of the week into part of the weekend. Yes, the heat warning in effect. Oh boy, what a hot day this has been. Going to the forecast specifically, overnight tonight, few clouds, wind southwest at 20, the low 18 degrees. That is a very, very warm night. Mainly sunny, a little bit of wind on Wednesday, and a high of 29. The humidex 32, UV index is 8 or very high. Cloudy overnight on Wednesday and a low of 18 again. Moving on to Thursday, still warm, high of 28 with clouds. Some rain rolling in on Thursday night and a low of 14 degrees. Moving on to Friday, temperatures will moderate, high of 21 with some showers. Rain overnight Friday, low of 7. Kind of cold on Saturday. Rain, just 13. Clear overnight on Saturday and a low of 3. Now the average high for this time of the year is 19. The average low is 8. And on Monday was up to 24 for the high and 16 for the low. Brace yourselves, folks. This is what sacrifice looks like. That's right. This is tennis, not elbow, but tennis knee. Yes, the sacrifice I make to try to beat Heupel on the tennis court. Actually, my incredible lack of coordination saw me wipe out like a hippo on the first point of the match. I soldiered on, but lost in an epic, epic match. Yes, a rematch coming up soon, once I heal. Clark Heupel will have the weather forecast and maybe a bit of gloating right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. Time now for your sportscast. Well, wait a minute. Let's just address that Greg photo in his knee. Like, back up a little bit. You don't have to zoom in so we see every intricate detail of that scar. I digress. Nick Laporte in North Bay continues to work out, hoping to get his dream shot at the Canadian Football League. That, of course, has been put on hold because of COVID-19. What hasn't been put on hold is Laporte's determination and his workouts at Rollie Fisher Field. Our Greg Esterbrooks, bad knee and all, was there.
As of right now, the CFL had postponed all their training camps until further notice, and within the last week, they've announced the postponing or pushing the season back until September. So, as of right now, the teams are kind of still going through dates for training camps and such. So, there's no set date right now. But like I said, I'm out here just trying to keep in shape as best I can and get ready for what I hope to be a tryout with the CFL.
Laporte working out with a couple of well-known former West Ferris Trojans, Jay Turnsack and one-time quarterback Mason McGriscott.
He's working with me. Him and Jay Turnsack have been nice enough to come out here and just kind of show me the ropes and try and help fast-track my football IQ and get me up to speed with everything that's going on. It's a football IQ kind of thing that we're trying to work on, so different coverages, how to get open with running different routes, getting in and out of your breaks quickly is key when you're trying to get past defenders. So little things like that are going to make a big difference, and obviously having the athleticism does help. But like I said, I'm pretty far behind the 8 ball here, so I'm just trying to fast track as best I can.
Late into the game and trying out a position he's never played before, obviously, he wants to be a receiver.
Catching the ball hasn't been overly difficult for me. Like I said, it's more or less the technical aspects of the game that I'm trying to catch up on. So yeah, but catching seems to be so far one of the strong suits.
I don't know what that heart beating was. I think Greg's holding a microphone close to his heart, perhaps, to see if it's there. I'm going to get in trouble for that, too. All right, we have a news tip line, and people call in with their news tips and with their suggestions for shows. And what about their praise for one of our producers? Let's take a look at some footage from our new VON, the Victorian Order of Nurses, Stay Fit program.
Pick a width on
This
the mat.
show
The
is
narrower
produced
the
by our
width,
very
the
own
harder it's
Chris
gonna be
Robinson,
to
and he
work,
received
and the
high
wider the
praise from a
distance.
member of the community
So I'm
calling
gonna
in
pick
saying they
something
love the
between,
workouts,
and we're
so
gonna
you can tune in and work out from home safely during the coronavirus pandemic. Next broadcast of this show and others, 7 a.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. tomorrow, and 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, as well as every day, Monday to Friday. Great work, Chris, and your show is really paying off for fitness of all ages of members of our community. Well, that does it for this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. Greg will be back on Wednesday, and I will face some payback, I think. Tune in to Cogeco News live at 5, and we'll see you then.